If you feel blocked in money and love, I hope to help you shine some light on your situation so that you can begin to make some changes, because I believe that everybody has a right to access the truth of who they are. And the truth of who you are is an abundant, love-filled, incredible, magical being. But because you're not told that growing up, you don't believe that. So you don't receive that from your external world. We're going to go into this a little bit more, and if you would like the journal prompts that go along with this video, or to learn more about this in more depth, I do have a downloadable guide in the link below in the description. So, how your shadow blocks you in money and love. Like I said, we are all at our very, very core abundance, love. We have access to fulfillment, joy, peace, magic, miracles, vitality. Like, that is who we are in our truth. But we live in a reality where we are conditioned. We are kind of like, you will have heard probably that from the ages of 0 to 7, your mind is like a sponge, because you're being conditioned. You're being programmed to see the world in a certain way, to work the world in a certain way, to understand, to build a perception of reality that's going to keep you safe. So those conditionings come from your parents, society, family, other family members, other kind of big influences in your life. And it's not just up to the age of 7. Basically, your ego is being formed from the day you're born until now. And it's continually being backed up. So as our ego is forming, we're building a view of the world that is helping us shape kind of how we receive what we receive from the world, based on what the beliefs that we have that we're putting out into the world. And so your ego is trying to keep you safe. And in doing so, it hides the truth in the shadow. So the truth is that you are abundance and that you are love, but that's hidden in the shadow, because depending on your conditionings, your ego doesn't deem one of those as safe. You're not doing anything wrong. You may have been trying manifestation. You may have been doing the inner work, probably if you've stumbled upon this video, and you may have been changing things in the external world. But until you address your shadow and what lies in the shadow, and then what's kind of blocking you from the truth within your unconscious mind, then you're not going to be able to make the changes that you want to see in your life. I've touched on this briefly, and I have a playlist here all about shadow work. But your ego is what is the block between you and the truth. So your ego is blocking you from the magnificence that you truly are as a whole being. The ego wants to keep you separate so that it can keep you safe and kind of stay in control of your world. So your ego is like the conscious driver. It's like the center of your consciousness, and it is your survival mechanism. So it's what's going to keep you safe. And if you were fed programs like money's hard to earn, or you have to be a people pleaser in order to receive love, then these are going to be like some of the main rules of the rule book of your ego that are going to be played throughout your life. And then the shadow is where the truth gets buried. The truth is the good, the bad, and the ugly. So the shadow is nothing to be afraid of, although the ego is afraid of the shadow, because if the ego is afraid of the shadow, because it means that it's going to be seen for the truth of who it is. And the world might not like the truth of the whole being. So that's why it keeps the shadow hidden. So things that might lie in your shadow, which are truth, like I mentioned, abundance and love, but your desires go into the shadow. Some of your deepest secrets, wounds, most hurtful emotions, traumas, they can go into the shadow, but so do your desires, your gifts, your talents, they can be put into the shadow, especially if they're not nurtured as you're growing up. But importantly for this, your ability to receive love and abundance will go into the shadow based on how you have been conditioned to receive. And so shadow work, which is kind of the key between receiving what is truly yours and not having what is truly yours. So shadow work is the key from where you want to be to where you are. And the process of that is basically making the unconscious conscious and seeing what the ego is trying to protect you from. And why is it trying to protect? In fact, why doesn't even matter. It's witnessing, accepting, and loving what the ego is trying to protect you from. And in doing that, you become whole. You become a more whole being. You are already whole, but the ego has separated your psyche to try and kind of fit you into a box that it deems to be acceptable in the world. So this is why you're blocked in money and love. The ego will hold the belief that it is not safe to receive the love that I deserve. It is not safe to receive the abundance that is truly mine. So even when love or money might appear in your life, you might sabotage it. A great example of this is you receive £10,000. 2 days later, you receive a bill for a car repair that is £9,997, and you already spent £3 on a bottle of water, especially if you live in London. And so that £10,000 is gone because you don't have the capability or the know-how or the belief that that money is safe for you to keep that money in your life. So it goes, you get the money in and it goes out straight away. If you haven't worked on the beliefs and your capacity to hold the abundance. And it's the same with love. So I was actually talking to a friend recently, like I can kind of look over previous relationships and see how they've evolved with me as I've evolved, and how, you know, I have changed from being able to not being able to receive a good, a healthy version of love when I was very young to now where my capabilities are completely different because I've changed so much internally. I've addressed so much of my kind of core wounds that were hidden in the shadow and how that has all changed. So when you are able to see your shadow and kind of, it's not about healing, it's about witnessing, it's about holding. And when you're able to hold those parts of you that come up from the shadow, you're able to create the true change. So if there is a part of you that still believes I am not worthy of love, or abundance isn't safe, or things like joy or even money have to be earned, or love or whatever, fill in the blank, has to be earned, period, or earning money, it has to be a struggle. I have to work hard to earn money. Like, what are your beliefs? And then what's driving that is hidden in the shadow. And when you're able to witness what's driving that, the very, very root, and it's generally an emotion like fear, guilt, shame, like maybe your parents told you that money is the root of all evil. So if you were to hold a lot of money, there would be a belief of your ego that your parents will think you're evil. So it will probably reject, avoid, reject, or like shrink so that you don't, it will adapt your being so that you can't earn a lot of money because you want to be loved by your parents. So it can be quite complex, but there is a root emotion at the very base of this that is driving your ability to receive love and money. And your ego isn't bad for doing this. Your ego is trying to keep you safe. The shadow is like the stuff that the ego just wants to hide, so it's put in a box so that nobody sees it. You know, like when your friends come over and you're like, I don't know, like for me, it's like when my mum comes over and I haven't put my washing away, I like put it in a cupboard. That's what the ego does to the shadow. It puts it in a cupboard, and then sometimes it kind of forgets about it because it doesn't want anybody to see it, because it doesn't want to feel the shame. but your ego is just trying to protect you. In that scenario, my ego is trying to protect me from the kind of judgment of my mum that I haven't put my washing away and me having to defend myself. It's just trying to avoid something that it finds uncomfortable. So something else important to note is that love and money are linked. So whatever your fear is around receiving love, it will be a very similar fear to receiving money. And if you're like an overgiver, you might also undercharge. You might give too much and not be able to receive. That could be one piece of sabotage. And you might not be able to express your needs or your boundaries. And that's another form of sabotage. So these are the blocks that is created from not being aware of what lies in your shadow. And the root core of this is basically, do you feel worthy of, do you feel safe in the world? Do you feel worthy of love? Do you believe that you're supported? Like all of these root beliefs that you are good enough just as you are to be, to live your truth. This is all about living your truth, which is love and abundance. But if I am seen as the whole of me, I might not be liked. So we reject money, abundance, health, peace, whatever it is, whatever our ego's telling us isn't safe. That's going to be the driving force behind what we're blocking. So shadow work, like I said, is the key. Shadow work is the bridge between where you are and where you want to be. So that's making all of this that's shoved in the cupboard, bringing that to light, witnessing the laundry, folding it up and putting it away and saying, this mess is welcome here, and then you can tidy it up, okay? Because this isn't about fixing yourself. You are not broken, you are whole, but it's about witnessing yourself. It's about accepting all of who you are, because there is light and dark in everything. Just because we feel shame, it doesn't mean we are bad. It means that there is shame alive in our energy system, and sitting with that shame, witnessing that shame, gives it the freedom to release. You do not have to let this control you anymore. And so bringing the unconscious into your conscious awareness means that it's not controlling you anymore. It's not controlling you from the cupboard. It is here. It is with you, and you know you can still act despite of the shame. You can still make a different choice. You don't have to live by your conditionings. You can choose to be wealthy. You can choose to say no to the unhealthy relationship. You can choose to say yes to something that's going to serve your highest. You can choose to say yes to your purpose, to your, like, to being an artist over being an accountant. You can say yes to all of this. You don't have to live by your conditioning. But while you're ignoring what's lying in the shadow, then that is going to force you to living by your conditioning. And as you begin reclaiming all of these parts of you that have been hidden, so the emotions, the wounds, the more uncomfortable stuff that lies in your shadow, as well as the confidence, the magic, the abundance that lies in your shadow, all of your truth. When you start reclaiming this, you're able to act and move forward with more power. This is honestly some of, like I say this all the time, the most powerful work that you will ever do. Once you've started to integrate all of this, then manifestation actually begins to work. The law of attraction actually begins to work. So you better watch what you're thinking. What you can do next is download the guide if you want to go into this in more depth and read over it in your own time. There are incredible journal prompts to help you just uncover what might be lying in your shadow that's holding you back, that's blocking you from love and money. And you can also start by observing what are the patterns in love and money? What are you noticing? And then what are the emotions that might be driving those patterns? Once you start to reflect on it, the answers will come up because you're giving it space for the answers to come up. And in the guide, I walk you through all of this. So you can download that in the description below. If you have any questions or you would like anything clarifying, just leave them in the comments. I hope this has been helpful. I hope that there's at least one little nugget that you've been able to take away from this. And if you enjoyed this, please hit the like and the subscribe button. And I will see you next week.